What you're looking at are 3 bins of PVC pipe that I've collected over the years. And this is just some of the PVC pipe. Up in the attic, I have stacks of different size PVC pipe. Now, what I originally used it for, in this case, was like units like this, where you could hook it to a hose and make a fixture for the fish tanks. I had a fish tank in every room of the house. And back then, this was the pipe that was PVC, good for water. Okay, there's ones that are for like sprinkler systems, but this was the actual color and type used if you used it for potable water or drinking water. Okay, so I built a bunch of different filtration systems for the fish tank. Got original end caps. These are probably from Channel Lumber or somebody like that, or Rickles. They're not even in business. I think this is a Rickles. Well, anyway, over the years, fish tanks, all kinds of things. I see a valve in here. There's a valve from the wine making and root beer making days. This was a valve to control the wine or root beer. I don't even think this will move anymore. It still moves, but not as good as it should. So that was that box. So it's sort of a keepsake. At some point, I'm culling this one out a bit. Okay. Now, I've had people say to me, "Why don't you build some loop antennas?" All right, this is just the leftover. Okay. I built some amplified loops using this gray PVC stuff, and this isn't metal. This is plastic. And you run wires through here, and it's very easy to snake them around because you can disconnect this. After you get your wires in there, your loops, and then of course you're going to have to make a piece up in here. What happened was, when the wires are that close together, you don't get a really good null. You do get a peak, and you can tune the loop for the frequency, but it's not as sharp as if you go into the next step, which is, let's see if that doesn't want to fall. You create looms, and you do an X-frame. See how I've cut these spaces, and the wire goes down in there, and this sits on an X-frame, and there's 4 of these. Okay, so I built a 2-foot frame with the wire separated. Not they didn't use ribbon wire, and the peak was really good, or the null, whatever you want to call it. The Q of the coil was really good, but the antenna was only 2 foot. So then I took it to the next size. Okay, this one comes apart. Here's the looms now. Notice the distance between the wires, or each turn got a lot more, and the Q gets even higher. This was a 5-foot loop at one time. It all comes apart. I still got the pieces. Here's the cross piece in the middle. What I did was I created a remote varactor capacitor to control the loop. And there's a shielded wire that went up to the loop, and then it connected to this box. And in the box was the varactor with a bunch of toroids, not toroids, little ferrite beads. And the whole idea is you didn't want any noise to get in on the wire, get up on the loop, and then come back down. Okay, so you could send voltage up the wire, up the shielded wire, and control the varactor, and then the signal would come back down on the same wire. And it was a project, I think it was called the Loopy Project, and I put it up on my website, and I started getting a bunch of emails from cranks. "Oh, I want to use that for transmitting. Show me how to use it for transmitting." And I write them back, "No, it's just a receiver." "No, I know you can do it." I mean, all this crap. And then one day I said, you know what? I started not answering some people. And then, "Oh, you're not going to answer it. So you're not going to answer my letter." So you know what I did? I took it all down. Okay. And I took the loop apart, and I saved these pieces because these are annoying to make, to sit there. And at first you put a saw cut in here with a handsaw, and you lay it out. You do a handsaw, then you run your file in there, and you want the wire to sit in there when you wind the loop. You don't want it to jump out. And I what I used the loop for was there was a couple stations still in New Jersey that I wanted to listen to, and this is before they all switched to talk radio, Republican talk, and they would actually have a comedy, a woman that was funny at lunchtime, and in the morning they had John Gambling's grandson on there, and I listened to him even during this Hurricane Sandy, and he left the station and it went downhill. Okay, I don't think they were making a lot of money, but as soon as he left, it went downhill. He went to another station, and then he did finally retire. Okay, so from out here in Lancaster with my R71A modified for good audio and a nice PA speaker, which is sitting here, a PA speaker, very good sound. I would listen to certain talk radio and comedy stuff, and the formats all changed. It became all political, and the people were annoying me. Tell me how to do it. That's not enough information on the thing. Hey, you show the loop as being closed. It shouldn't be closed. All these arguments with people, and I'm like, I got the thing built. I have pictures of it. I'm actually operating it, and then they want to know how to make it transmit. It's got a 20 volt varactor on it. As soon as you transmit, it's going to pop. That thing's going to explode, and the pieces are going to go across the room. But in their mind, you can turn it into a transmitter. Yes, you could turn it into a transmitter, but you have to remove the circuit board. You got to redesign it. You're not going to be able to tune it up remotely because it doesn't have a varactor. You're going to have to use some type of motor capacitor system, which I had. I also had that on originally on the loop, and then I switched over to a varactor because I figured out how to do it. And I figured out where to put the little ferrite beads, so it eliminated any noise that went up the wire to the antenna, so it wouldn't come back down. I figured it out. I spent days. I contacted other guys, and they were no help. You're going to need an amplifier up on there, and they were all wrong. It worked great, okay. But the other thing too is it took most of the other room. I have a large bedroom, and having that in the middle of the room, and on the rug I had north, south, east, and west, and I had little notes that this station's over here, this station's over there. And it just went downhill real quick once I published it. I put how to build it up there, and you don't want to do that anymore because the people coming along now have real big egos and little knowledge. And I always tell you this: they just start a fight with you, and you're like, well, that's as much as well, you ought to do more. That's not really. See, they don't have the knowledge to build it like I do. Other people at my level, they just look at it and go, oh, that's the dimension I need. Oh, bang, 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 and the schematic for the varactor and where to put the beads and the whole, bang, it's done. But people that don't know anything, that have a big ego, it's your fault when they built it and it doesn't work. I took it down, and now, like I said, I have 3 bins of PVC pipe, and these are all the pieces for the big loop. Oh, and these I bought a few of these. And these are for winding really large coils for a crystal radio set. All right. Originally, the article was using mayonnaise jars, plastic mayonnaise jars, and I only had one of those. So when I was in the Lowe's or where it was, I saw these, and it was the exact size. So I bought 4. See, that's the other problem is I don't just buy the 2 I need. I buy 4 just in case I make a mistake. Well, after I made the coils and took the wires off and scrapped the wires, then I realized they had holes in them. So if I ever gave these to somebody and they were to use them, they would leak. So I end up throwing them out. But that's the kind of thing when you really build, and everything's in a bin, and they're labeled. The lid is labeled, and I have 3 bins of PVC, and like I said, up in the attic there's stacks of this pipe, 6-foot pieces or something like that, and you can't take these barcodes off, and that kind of, when you're making stuff, it kind of ruins it. So years ago, it wasn't real bad. I don't know if I have some old pieces here, but the new stuff, you really can't make something out of it and sell it. You'd have to wet paper, sandpaper these down to get the writing off it. The writing comes off real easy, wet sanding, but the barcodes are a pain in the ass. Just want to show you some stuff. And of course, you know, I bought several of these. Okay. Oh, and when I wanted these couplers, they didn't come one at a time. I had to buy a whole package. Okay. That's how it goes. When you're an experimenter and you build something, and when I build the 2-foot X-frame, you know, made this, put it together, and I'm like, you know, I could build this a lot bigger, and let's see how much more signal. So I took a lot of notes, and then I built the 5-foot X-frame, and I went over to Lowe's, and I was hoping they had this, and they had it. I didn't have to go online, and I come home, and that thing was up in the other room and up and running that night. And that's what, you know, when you really put yourself out there and you really build stuff. But, you know, in your case, you got a car. I walked 6 miles each way, an hour and 40 minutes, whatever, each way to bring this back home. That's the kind of ambition I used to have, okay? I have ambition now, but nothing like that. When I first moved here and I was waiting to get on Social Security, I had a certain amount of money. Trust me, you get very inventive. Well, I'll build this. And then what's really amazing, where I really pump out units, if you get snow. And I get snow crazy. And then in the house, I'm perf boarding and building circuits and bang, bang, bang. And at the end of 3 months, I have a box of experiments that have all worked. I stay with it until it works. Because if you put a circuit away that's beat you, that'll just keep happening to you. And I know there's people out there, I was trying, it didn't work out. And I ask people questions. I keep reading up on the circuit. And I say to myself, how could I simulate this part to get this part of the circuit working, make sure it's working? You know, I have an oscilloscope, and I'm like, okay, you test this first. That part's working. And then the other parts, you make sure the signal's getting in there. Make sure it's mixing together. Is it coming out at 455? See, there's certain steps when you understand how a circuit works that you can do. It's like when I got the loop to remotely tune, but I was getting computer noises because the wire came in from the other room past the computer. And the signals from the computer were getting on the wire that went up to the antenna. It wasn't actually getting on the antenna. So I'm like, okay. So I put some ferrite beads in the right places. And the whole trick is you put the ferrite beads in the right spot. So the signal can come back down the aerial, but the voltage, the DC voltage coming up, before it gets separated, there's a capacitor there. And you want that DC not to have any noise on it. Then that same wire, which is capacitively coupled from the tune circuit, comes back down that wire, and then you can't help if something noisy gets on it. But once you have enough signal coming down that wire, because you got this giant loop, that little noise that might get on that wire with it won't be enough to ruin the circuit. But that's why, like I said, I published the whole thing, and that was a mistake. You know, you got people out there, they're horrible people. You know, well, I built it and it didn't work. I guess I'm screwed, huh? I don't know. I didn't tell you to build it. And I do put warnings on stuff. Not for the average person. And then, make sure you get the loop working first. You know, get the loop, you know, put a transistor radio near it, and make sure when you tune the loop, that you make the loop first, put a capacitor across it, a tuning cap, and make sure you got your loop in the right frequency range. You know, oh, I had some extra turns on it. I guess that was the wrong thing to do. Yeah, you just went down into long wave. Well, I don't want to unwrap it because then I have to cut the wires. Is there any? They start inventing problems for you, abstracts, because they did something wrong. And I didn't realize this. You know, many years of dealing with people, I really didn't realize how messed up people are. They'll do what they think is right, even though they don't know anything. And then you're supposed to figure out what they did and how to fix it so they won't look stupid. And I'm going to tell you, the saying is, you can't fix stupid. Stupid is as stupid does. Absolutely correct. I think that's it. All right, that's it.